The following is rated F for fairness. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Audio Show.
All right, y'all. If you know me, you know that I don't play games with knowledge, right? So, Skitlanta brought up the person Alex Cooper and says that this is a comp, right? But if you were to look at this actual comp, let's take a look at the comp. Now, number one, did Alex Cooper have an outside investor? Alex Cooper did not have an outside investor when she launched her Call Her Daddy in 2018. She and her former co-host Sophia Franklin started the show independently and recorded it scrappily in their apartment. So in other words, what they actually did, Skitlanta, just so you have an idea, and others, right? Because Skitlanta wanted me to go for this comp, and I don't know much about the comp, but I did it in real time, and I'm gonna give you some more digs on it now. Because you know me, I told you, I'm about data, I'm about knowledge, and I make sure that we get the knowledge. You look at what's going on. She recorded it on her own. In other words, she had a simulation of what the podcast is from before. So basically, she had an IP. And that's what I kept trying to explain to a lot of the audience. If you do not have something, you really are bargaining with nothing. Amber is bargaining with nothing right now. She's just saying she wants whatever it is. So let's look at this. Self-produced start. The first episodes were self-funded and produced without venture backing or external investors. I want you to pay attention to that. The first episodes were self-funded and produced without venture backing or external investors. In other words, she never had a Wayne. She never had any of those. Skitlanta, a mentor told me, right? And I'm going to give you this, but I'm going to also give it to the audience because it's not just you. And it's a good thing that you brought this up. I appreciate that. A mentor once asked me the question, O'Neill, who do you listen to? And he says, you listen to someone who has what you want and has been where you are now. That's basically it. So there you go. So if you want to use Alex Cooper, you'll have to give the actual thing of it. Now let's work at Alex Cooper's thing. Let's look at Alex Cooper's deal. Skitlanta. So in other words, she started something, so she had something to bargain with. Let's look at her thing. Alex Cooper made roughly $1 million in total earnings directly from her contract and merchandise sales in Barstools before leaving the network in 2021. She started in 2018, right? And it took her basically, 3 years to make the $1 million. I want you to look at this because y'all not seeing this. Base salary. Cooper signed an initial 3-year contract with a starting base salary of $75,000 per year. It's a 3-year contract. I want you to look at this actual year one payout. Because the podcast became an instant hit, this is not for every podcast, but because this one became an instant hit, performance milestones and heavy merchandise bonus brought her actual first year take-home pay to about $506,000. She made slightly more than her co-host, her original co-host, Sophia Franklin, because the Barstool founder, Dave Portney, gave Cooper a raise for handling the show's editing and social media marketing. So let me stop right there. Is Amber editing any of this? Is Shayla editing any of this? Is the Honeypot Girl editing any of this? Is Delicia editing any of this? Is Lauren editing any of this? If they're not editing any of this, then do you see what I mean? So you're seeing exactly what's going on. If you're going to talk the podcast space, this is what I was talking about. But since you wanted to bring the comp up, let's really look at the comp. Because you know O'Neill, he's going to check it out. If you ask him, he's going to check it out and go and listen to what you're saying. So since y'all want to go with it, that's where you're looking at. Then she was able to rework her deal. I want you to look at this. The most lucrative aspect of Cooper's time at Barstool wasn't her salary, but the intellectual property IP. As a part of her 2020 renegotiations to stay with the company for one final year, Dave Portney agreed to transfer 100% of the Call Her Daddy IP rights back to Cooper once her contract concluded. Owning her IP entirely is what allowed her to subsequently sign a $60 million deal with Spotify. And you don't know how that deal went. Because what may have happened is Spotify may have said, you know what, we'll pay you something, Dave, so that we can get the rights from her so we can have whatever it is, or no deal. That may have been what has actually occurred with this. The girls own nothing. That's why it's called the Kountry Wayne podcast. The person putting up the funds is Kountry Wayne. If you're going to use Alex Cooper, you best use her right. Because like you can see, Alex put her time in. And that's what O'Neill was talking about. But hey, thank you very much for giving that comp. Give me a take. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Talk to y'all soon.